Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna. Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti-Vidas Swami Namo. Om Vishnu-padaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Namo. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharya Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Sishtarthe. So, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, Text 24, sorry, 23. Right? Someone spoke on our Rama?
Yeah,
okay.
I spoke on it.
Yeah. I was in the Saturday class.
Rama?
Ram. Yeah.
I was like, whoa, skip 22 minutes.
And they didn't broadcast
Okay.
it for the whole time. Says you weren't broadcasting this.
एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि राम कृष्णौ इति भुवः भगवान् अहरत् भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में वृष्णिषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो
एकविंशे विंशति में विष्णु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे विंशति में विष्णुषु प्राप्य जन्मनि रामकृष्णाविति भुवो भगवान् हरद्भरम् एकोनविंशे विंशति में विष्णुषु प्राप्य जन्मनि
रामकृष्णाविति भुवो
भगवान् हरद्भरम्
एकोनविंशे 19th विंशति में the 20th also Vrishnishu the Vrishni dynasty Prapya having obtained Janmani birth Rama Balaram Krishna Shri Krishna Iti thus Bhuvaha of the world Bhagavan personality of Godhead Aharat removed Bharam burden. Translation. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty. And by doing so, he removed the burden of the world. Purport. The specific mention of the word Bhagavan in this text indicates that Krishna and Balaram are original forms of the Lord. This will be further explained later. Lord Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha, as we learned from the beginning of this chapter. He is directly the original personality of Godhead, and Balaram is the first plenary manifestation of the Lord. From Baladev, the first phalanx of plenary expansions, Vasudev, Shankarshana, Aniruddha and Pradyumna expands. Lord Shri Krishna is Vasudev and Baladev is Shankarshana. Homa Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utaf Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Supe Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Ekonavimshe Vimshati me Vrishnishu Prapti Janmani Ramakrishna Viti Bhuvo Bhagavan Aharat Bharam. In the 19th and 20th incarnations, the Lord advented himself as Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the family of Vrishni, the Yadu dynasty. By doing so, he removed the burden of the world. So as Srila Prabhupada mentions, the word Bhagavan is mentioned, and then later it's also stated that what is that? No. Etesham sakalam ucha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Indriyari Vyakalam Loke Mrideyanti. So that although so many forms of the Supreme Lord have been stated, Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, the source of all incarnations. Therefore, Prabhupada titled this chapter as Krishna is the source of all incarnations. So here it's very significant that the word Bhagavan is used. And so as Srila Prabhupada explains in the purport, Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha. Purusha, what is Prabhupada talking of the Purusha here? Purusha refers to Mahavishnu. Refers to actually not just Mahavishnu but all three Purusha incarnations, but primarily yes, Mahavishnu. So because each form in the material world, once we're here, and Shirodaka Sai Vishnu is through whom all the incarnations manifest. So so Krishna is not an incarnation of the Purusha avatar, but rather the Purusha avatar is, as the word states, avatar of Krishna. And Balaram is his first plenary manifestation. Balaram is the first Tadekatma Rupa. It's the same form, but moved slightly differently manifested. As the servitor God. Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. Yeah. So Balaram serves Krishna. And so then the expansions of Vasudev, Shankarshana, Aniruddha and Pradyumna expand from him, and from them all the Vishnu avatars expand. So here in the verse it's stated Bhagavan Aharat Bharam, that the Supreme Personality of Godhead removed the burden of the world. So Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam shrijamyam paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya chadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So that Krishna appears for the sake of annihilating the miscreants and establishing the principles of religion. So here in the 10th canto, chapter 1, verse 22, the earth has been overburdened by all these demoniac kings, and the earth appeals to Lord Brahma for help. So then Brahma goes and prays on the shore of the milk ocean, and then he receives a telepathic message from Vishnu, who says that I will appear, and he gives the reason. So Brahma is explaining to the demigods that in this verse that Lord Brahma informed the demigods, before we submitted our petition to the Lord, he was already aware of the distress on earth. So Krishna is super soul, Paramatma, and is all-knowing. So he was aware of the distress of this. Consequently, for as long as the Lord moves on earth to diminish its burden by his own potency in the form of time, all of you demigods should appear through plenary portions as sons and grandsons in the family of the Yadus. So it's significant here that Brahma says that for as long as the Lord moves on this earth to diminish his burden by his own potency in the form of time. So the Sanskrit used is Swakala Shaktya, by the potency of his time. So the question may be asked, Krishna is appearing to reduce the burden of the earth, but as the verse states over here, the burden of the earth can be reduced by the influence of time. Right? Time, I am the destroyer of all. How does that come in Sanskrit? I don't know. Kalosmi loka krit, loka kshaya krit. Anyway, so Krishna can destroy everything by the potency of his time, and he does do that. So why did Krishna have to appear to kill all these demons? His time potency is more than sufficient to diminish the burden of this world, right?
But for the sake of pastime.
For the sake of enacting, yes, for the sake of enacting his pastimes. But yes, for giving pleasure to his devotees. And the difference between, so what is the difference between Krishna diminishing the burden of the earth through his time factor and diminishing the burden of the earth through his personal presence? Because through his personal presence also, Krishna mentions, I come to annihilate the miscreants. Right? So what is the difference? It's a very important difference. That's already mentioned. Paritranaya sadhana.
The demons who get killed get special benediction.
Exactly. The demons attain the mercy of the Lord. Whereas the time factor, they're just put through the cycle of birth and death again and again. Whereas when Krishna comes to annihilate the demons, he gives them at least liberation, if not more. In cases like Putana, he gives her a spiritual form. So this is the special prerogative of Krishna appearing to diminish the burden of this earth. Prabhupada writes a very ecstatic purport to this verse. The purport, as stated in the Brahma Samhita, Rabardi Murti Shukala Niyamena Tishtan Nana Avatara Makaro Bhuvaneshu Kintu Krishna Swayam Samavatav Paramah Pumanyo Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. I worship the Supreme Personality Godhead Govinda, who is always situated in various incarnations such as Rama, Nrsimha, and many sub-incarnations as well, but who is the original personality of Godhead known as Krishna and who incarnates personally also. So Prabhupada continues the purport. In this verse from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, we find the words Puraiva Pumsavadhito Dharajvaraha. The word Pumsa refers to Krishna, who was already aware of how the whole world was suffering because of the increase of demons. Without reference to the supreme power of the personality of Godhead, demons assert themselves to be independent kings and presidents, and thus they create a disturbance by increasing their military power. When such disturbances are very prominent, Krishna appears. At present also, this is where it gets nice, it gets really nectarian. Various demoniac states all over the world are increasing their military power in many ways, and the whole situation has become distressful. Therefore, Krishna has appeared by his name in the Hare Krishna movement, which will certainly diminish the burden of the world. Philosophers, religionists, and people in general must take to this movement very seriously, for man-made plans and devices will not help bring peace on earth. The transcendental sound Hare Krishna is non-different from the person Krishna. Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nityamukto Abhinatvan Nama Namina. This is from the Padma Purana. There is no difference between the sound Hare Krishna and Krishna, the person. So Prabhupada makes a very important comparison, comparing the Krishna consciousness movement to the advent of Krishna. Comparing the chanting of Hare Krishna as an incarnation of the Supreme Lord to deliver the fallen conditioned souls. In Kali Yuga, the fallen conditioned souls are delivered not by killing their physical bodies, but by giving them Krishna consciousness and killing their demoniac mentality. So this aspect of the Krishna consciousness movement is something that Srila Prabhupada repeatedly stated and very much forms a lot of the mood that Srila Prabhupada instilled and wanted us to carry on. So in this regard, I wanted to read a couple of excerpts from Srila Prabhupada's Vani. This is all from the upcoming book, The Mood and Mission of Srila Prabhupada. It is being written by Bhakti Vikas Maharaj. And so the manuscript has a lot of nectarian quotes from Srila Prabhupada. So I just thought I'd read and in that way give pleasure to the Vaishnavas. So I'll read, I may just keep reading on, and then devotees as and when can feel we can share some nectar from this. So in the subdivision, who do and do not take to this movement. So this is talking about the Hare Krishna movement. That because this Hare Krishna movement is compared to the incarnation of Krishna. And those who don't take advantage of it, they're very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. And Srila Prabhupada writes in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in Antya Leela, he writes, "There is now a flood of the eternal nectar of love of Godhead due to the incarnation of Lord Chaitanya. All living entities are floating in that flood. The entire world is now thankful to the Lord. Anyone who does not float in this inundation is most condemned. Such a person cannot be delivered for millions of kalpas." Then I'm just going to continue reading. This is from the Adi Leela chapter 13 verse 123. "Anyone who attains a human body but does not take to the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is baffled in his opportunity. Amrita Dhuni is a flowing river of the nectar of devotional service. If after getting a human body one drinks the nectar in a poison pit of material happiness instead of the water of such a river, it would have been better for him to not have lived but have died long ago."
Oh.
So okay, this is another really, really good one. Srila Prabhupada writes in the Antya Leela chapter 3 verse 255. "One day of Brahma is called a kalpa." And how much does a kalpa consist of?
4,032,000,000 years.
Right.
Times 2.
So times 2. So a yuga, Prabhupada writes, or a Mahayuga consists of 4,320,000 years. And 1,000 such Mahayugas constitute one kalpa. The author of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita says that if one does not take advantage of the Krishna consciousness movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he cannot be delivered for millions of such kalpas.
Oh my God.
So, then Srila Prabhupada writes in, also this is all from Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Let's go.
Adi Lila. Like Mayavadi philosophers, this comes in the 7th chapter.
Yeah.
Like Mayavadi philosophers in the past, such as Prakashananda Saraswati of Benares, modern impersonalists are not interested in Lord Chaitanya's Krishna consciousness movement. So, and then Prabhupada, and then Maharaj concludes that section from another quote from the Adi Lila, where it says, "To be puffed up with false learning is a disqualification for accepting the Krishna consciousness movement."
Oh.
Okay, so now why I was stating this is that this just shows the importance of our movement and how significant it is. The next heading is aggressive, challenging movement. So Srila Prabhupada declares in a letter on July 30th, 1975, he declares aggression for the cause of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is pure. Srila Prabhupada identified himself as an aggressor and exhorted his disciples also to be so. So this is in a letter, July 30, 1975. "I myself was very aggressive in coming to your country. No one invited me. Even you boys and girls did not invite me. But I came and I preached aggressively. And therefore you are now my disciples. So now you all well know that you have to approach the men and women of your country, and it may appear that superficially you have to disturb them. They are doing their business peacefully, and you come and disturb them. Please take this Krishna book." So and then Prabhupada, in another lecture, says, "This Krishna consciousness movement is a challenge to all the rascals and fools. So those who have taken this movement very seriously, they should be very sober and understand that at least you must expose all these rascals."
Oh my God.
That will be very much appreciated by Krishna. See how Prabhupada writes. He says,
These rascals.
you must be sober. Sober and what? Be peaceful, cute, nice.
Cuddly.
Say Haribol to everyone and smile. No, Prabhupada is saying, and understand, at least you must expose all these rascals. Prabhupada is saying that as the least.
Who are the rascals and what does it mean to expose them?
Well, Prabhupada comes later.
Coming.
Okay. At a press conference upon his first arrival in England, in a response to a polite inquiry, "What do you try and teach, sir?" Srila Prabhupada robustly replied. So it's a very nice inquiry, polite inquiry. "What do you try to teach?" Prabhupada said, "I am trying to teach what you have forgotten. That is God. Some of you are saying there is no God. Some of you are saying that God is dead. Some of you are saying that God is impersonal or void. These are all nonsense. I want to teach all these nonsense that there is a God. That is my mission. Any nonsense can come to me. I shall prove that there is God.
Wow.
That is my Krishna consciousness movement. It is a challenge to atheistic people. There is God." Arrival address in September 11, 1969.
Where in London?
Yeah. When Tamal Krishna Goswami said to Srila Prabhupada, "You have really come as an aggressor. Actually, I think we are the most dangerous revolutionaries in the whole world." Srila Prabhupada acknowledged this statement and qualified it by saying, "To the Rakshasas." Rakshasa literally means a cannibal, and that in Kali Yuga, the leaders of society would devour their citizens as predicted in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. The Krishna consciousness movement is meant to aggressively oppose all modern Rakshasas and thus save the world from such rogues and demons. So, then the next subheading is that, see, this is all description of Srila Prabhupada's, of how Srila Prabhupada described our movement. So, Prabhupada will make history by saving the world. Srila Prabhupada was quite aware of the historical potency of his spreading Krishna consciousness in what he referred to as this momentous hour of need. This appears in that famous article, Back to Godhead article, this momentous hour of need that Prabhupada writes during the independence movement. He said that in the future, historians will study this period of world history about how this movement changed the world, a new renaissance. Rameshwar Das recalls Srila Prabhupada instructing him as follows: "We are the only hope for the human society to revive real knowledge, and our books are the only real thing. So it may take some time, but one day all this rubbish culture of slaughterhouses and brothels and this rubbish philosophy that God is dead and life comes from matter can be replaced. In the future, there will be a history of how Vedic culture was brought to America. We are introducing a new style of life and civilization. Everything should be ideal. Others have never dreamt of such a civilization. free life, happy life, no anxiety, and hope, great hope that we are going back home, back to Godhead. And through increased distribution of our books, America, and then the whole world will become Krishna conscious. All the world is in darkness. The scientists like Darwin and Freud are all in darkness. One day, the whole world will appreciate how we have changed the face of the world from darkness to light. So, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here that we're introducing a new style of life and civilization. This is very important. You have to understand. Srila Prabhupada brought a new style of life. Not that as devotees we merge ourselves into the people don't like us. Obviously, because you're introducing something new. So people might not like you, but you are introducing it. But if you water it down and merge it, then what's the point? So, and then Srila Prabhupada, again in the same section, it was a theme that Srila Prabhupada several times repeated. Our movement is the greatest gift to human race. They may not immediately appreciate it, but time will come and history will give evidence that this movement saved human society from being fallen into barbarianism. I wish that it will be noted down in the history that this Krishna consciousness movement is responsible for saving the world. Practically, our movement is the only hope from saving the world from complete disaster. Only hope is that you distribute books as much as possible. Whole Europe, whole America. Someday they will realize that what valuable books we have left for the study of the whole world. Okay, now you ask what rogues and demons are, so the section is coming. To save the world from rogues and demons. At the present moment, practically the entire world is afraid of rogues and non-devotees. Therefore, this Krishna consciousness movement is started to save the world from irreligious principles. Everyone should cooperate with this movement in order to bring about actual peace and happiness in the world. And then, okay, here it gets a little more pictorial, very descriptive. The presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether the religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of present day introduce all kinds of sinful activity, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago these 4 principles of sinful life were strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot allow religious principles. So, we see how these modern politicians, they make you pay taxes, and with those taxes, they help abortion, they maintain slaughterhouses, casinos, brothels, all sorts of things. All these things are supported. They give huge tax breaks to these corporations who are manufacturing items that are meant for the degradation of people. So, and Srila Prabhupada is writing, the state is now callous to religious principles. Modern heads of the states are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law, but in this age of Kali, as stated in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction is to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the increase of sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will become complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds. And many good and spiritually inclined people would have to forsake their homes because they would be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. So, and Prabhupada explains how the movement is meant to kill the demons and demoniac mentality. Okay, this is really powerful. Declaring that our missionary activities are aimed at eradicating the demoniac mentality on a wide scale, Srila Prabhupada further elaborated. This movement is invented to kill all the so-called yogis, swamis, avatars, rascals, philosophers, and commentators. We have to kill. This is one of the items, to vanquish all these rascals and so-called swamis. Now obviously kills demoniac mentality. Therefore, Maharaj is bringing that section over there, demoniac mentality. They say, Prabhupada continues, why you criticize others also? Because we have to vanquish them. Now these people cannot rise. When there is sunrise, there is no use of these glowworms. So this Krishna consciousness movement is Krishna himself. Therefore, they must be finished all over the world. So-called religionists, so-called philosophers, so-called avatars, swamis, yogis, finished. Our program should be like that. So,
Sure.
Prabhupada is... What's that? Swamiji...
Can you elaborate? on
What is that? Yeah.
So it's reported Aishwarya Prabhupada. Swamiji, so what is your opinion about all these new Swamis and yogis who have come to America? Prabhupada said that they're all nonsense.
They're all nonsense.
He said, can you please elaborate on them? Elaborate on that point. He said, yes, they're all rascals and
I can
fools.
say furthermore that they're all...
I can say furthermore, they're all rascals.
That was Srila Prabhupada's description.
You don't understand.
You didn't get it? They're all rascals.
In Kali Yuga, the killing of demons means to kill the demoniac mentality of the people by introducing the Sankirtan movement.
What's up?
So, when there is a burden created by the demons, and whenever the innocent devotees are distressed by demoniac rulers, the Lord appears in due course of time to kill the demons with the assistance of his real representatives. So this is very important. The Lord kills the demons not by himself, but he uses his devotees in doing so. So Lord Chaitanya, by his extraordinary mercy, is using actually demons like ourselves, turning us into devotees and then using us to, kill more demons and convert them into devotees as well.
Oh, it's like the
So, when the Supreme Lord, he says, Paritranaya sadhanam vinashaya chadushkritam, Paritranaya sadhanam, by protecting the devotees and by nourishing them, by engaging him in his pastimes, and his pastime is vinashaya chadushkritam, by annihilating the demons and giving them also Krishna consciousness. So, Prabhupada continues, it is the duty of all parts and parcels to serve the whole. It is the duty of Krishna's devotees to serve Krishna as he wants. Krishna's business is to kill the demons. Therefore, there should be a devotee's business also.
Wow.
Krishna's business is a devotee's business.
Yeah.
Another devotee has another business. Yeah, our family business. Very nice.
What's up?
Yeah.
That's our family business.
It's an ecstatic title for that book, Our Family Business. So, Krishna, because the people of Kali Yuga are fallen, however, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of kindness for them, did not bring any weapon to kill them. Rather, by spreading Krishna consciousness, love of Krishna, he wanted to kill their nefarious demoniac activities. This is the purpose of the Krishna consciousness movement. Unless the demoniac activities on the surface of the world are diminished or vanquished, no one can be happy. The program for the conditioned soul is fully described in Bhagavad Gita, and one has to simply follow these instructions to become happy. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore prescribed Harinama eva kevalam Kalo nasteva gatir anyata. Let the people chant Hare Krishna mantra constantly. Then their demoniac tendencies will be killed and they will become first-class devotees, happy in this life and in the next. So then the next subdivision goes on further on the
War
theme.
on misleading theories.
War on misleading
What's
theories.
up?
Okay, this is from Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati.
Oh my God, let's go.
The aggressive pronouncement of the concrete truth is the crying necessity of the moment for silencing the aggressive propaganda of specific untruths that is being, for the silencing of aggressive propaganda of specific untruths that is being spread all over the world. So, now, when one has, so Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur is using the word aggressive pronouncement, because unless, when the aggressive pronouncement means you say that this is the truth, just like the sunlight is aggressive towards the glowworms. The glowworms have to go and hide. They can't exist in sunlight anymore. So Krishna is like that. It's very forceful. So the Krishna consciousness movement is also forceful. And when we force, we have this, there is propaganda to silence specific untruths, because these untruths are bewildering people, misleading them. So the Krishna consciousness movement is spread in that manner in order to what's the word used? To is to make people understand that this is the real thing and everything else is false. So, this statement by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur encapsulates much about his mission, and that was perpetuated by Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada.
That's right.
Srila Prabhupada aimed to change the whole world outlook and direction of civilization. His program was not only to get people to chant Hare Krishna and take prasadam. For people to understand what is actually real and to fully commit to Krishna consciousness, they would have to be disabused of all misconceived worldviews and attitudes to life. So, Srila Prabhupada, of course, in some cases he said that just chant and distribute prasadam in certain cases, but the aim and push of his movement was to give knowledge to people. So, devotees have to be careful not to water down that, we don't want to distribute books, we don't want to display books. We just want to make people chant Hare Krishna and give them prasadam. And let them come like this. But that is not going to help them alone. They have to be disabused of wrong ideas. So acknowledging one's constitutional position as an eternal servant of Krishna is not possible as long as one subscribes to abominations such as Darwin's theory and impersonalism, and indeed to the whole notion of anthropocentrically acquiring knowledge, aroha panta. So that means the ascending process. I will gain knowledge, I will read this, I will read that, I will get this is my idea, this is a new strategy. No, you use
Strategic planning.
You use the old one. You say, you just follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. That is what we're supposed to do. We're not supposed to introduce anything new. Therefore, to benefit the world in the best possible way, Srila Prabhupada waged war on such misleading theories by tirelessly writing books and arranging for their mass distribution, and verbally also insistently and aggressively expounding the philosophy of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam to distinguish reality for the welfare of all. To distinguish reality from illusion for the welfare of all. So, Prabhupada states in a letter on May 6, 1969, we are presenting a new philosophy to the world against all foolish, impersonalist, atheistic, agnostic, and all imperfect philosophies. Next section, war against rascals.
What's up?
So the way Maharaj writes is the first letter, which is before he brings quotes of Srila Prabhupada, is war with an exclamation mark. So, this Krishna consciousness movement is war declared against all these rascals. We have got many enemies, but we do not care for them. Still, we shall go on. Although the living entities are Krishna's parts and parcels, they are Prakriti, not Purusha. Sometimes Prakriti, a living entity, attempts to imitate the activities of the Purusha. Due to a poor fund of knowledge, living entities conditioned in this material world claim to be God. They are thus illusioned. A living entity cannot be on the level of a Vishnu Tattva or the personality of Godhead at any stage. Therefore, it is ludicrous for a living entity to claim to be God. Advanced spiritualists would never accept such a thing. Such claims are made to cheat ordinary and foolish people. The Krishna consciousness movement declares war against such bogus incarnations. The bogus propaganda put out by people claiming to be God has killed God consciousness all over the world. My mission is to defeat false yogis, gurus, and so-called incarnations.
Oh my God.
I may not go back to Krishna, but I can expose these bogus rascals.
Oh.
So obviously Srila Prabhupada, there's no question of him going back to Krishna. He's with Krishna. But yet, Srila Prabhupada, just for the sake of emphasis, just like in a statement we say, even at the time of death, I will not drink water from this person's hand or something like that. I hate him so much. Like people say, in India it's a very common thing because of the culture. They said, sometimes if the father is really upset with the son or something like that, he rejects him, hates him, he rejects him. He says, even after my death, you don't come and touch my body. They would say something like that. So that's just emphasis on I'd say it's a literary emphasis to show how dear that statement is to oneself, how much it means. So Prabhupada says again, I may not go back to Godhead, but I want to expose the cheaters. That's Prabhupada's mood. And then we should be like that. Prabhu, I want to go to Vrindavan, Vraj, chant 64 rounds, associate with this Baba, that Baba, some this Baba, and then I want to bathe here. I want to worship this deity. But what about these instructions? What about speaking like this? Oh, it disturbs my mind. I don't want to talk about all these things. No, but this is Srila Prabhupada's mood. And he's a pure devotee. He's giving us the mood of what we have to do. Then Prabhupada writes, I wish that all other major movements in the world may be cut down and only the Krishna consciousness movement may be taken up in all seriousness. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita to give up all other engagements and take to Krishna only. So Krishna consciousness movement being non-different from Krishna, we have to try our best to make this movement predominant all over the world by curbing down all others. That means when we're preaching, it's not that someone is saying, I'm attached to Neem Karoli Baba. Oh, very nice.
That's all right.
That's okay. You're attached to this Baba, you're attached to that Baba, but you just chant Hare Krishna. That's okay. Chant Hare Krishna, and no, you have to make them also stop their other nonsense and surrender to Krishna, because that's what Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna doesn't say, oh, okay, you worship Shiva, you worship Ganesh, you worship this, you worship that, and you worship me also, and I'll give you benefits. He says, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. He says, use the word ekam. He doesn't say you can be there, you can do this. No. So the Krishna consciousness movement, Prabhupada said, this Krishna consciousness movement non-different from Krishna. That also we have to understand. This Krishna consciousness movement is non-different from Krishna. It is not about us deciding how we can propagate the Krishna consciousness movement. Krishna is who he is, and the Krishna consciousness movement is what it is. That's it. You like it, take it. Don't like it,
get lost.
Then you're unfortunate. That's it. So, okay, Mahatsa, you like this one. This is, okay, you really like this one. This is 14 February, letter 1973. Through the distribution of this literature, we can completely annihilate all the bogus yogi groups in the world. Of this fact, I am sure.
Wow.
So there's a proliferation of all sorts of bogus yogi groups. All sorts of yoga, this yoga, that yoga, all sorts of. Prabhupada is saying, how can we vanquish them? By doing more yoga? No. By the distribution, we can completely annihilate all bogus yogi groups in the world. Of this fact, I am sure.
Sure, bro.
So it's very interesting. You get amazed. How does Srila Prabhupada say these things exactly? It's like as if Srila Prabhupada is present here now.
Yeah.
He is. That's why his statements are like Bhagavad Gita. They're true for all times, places, and circumstances. Again, because that is Krishna, because his words are not different from Krishna. And so now in the verse that we read from the 10th canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, Prabhupada explains of how the world has been overburdened by all these bogus politicians, demoniac politicians and presidents who are just increasing their military strength. So this is what happens. When demons increase, they increase their military strength and then they fight each other and kill each other. So Prabhupada, one of the things that Srila Prabhupada was very much vehemently against was communism. Because communism at that time was very prominent, and Maharaj explains here how it's still prominent today. Although we might think, no, democracy is prominent, not communism. But, alright, so the heading is Counteracting Communism. Srila Prabhupada often spoke of spiritual communism, of recognizing the supreme proprietorship of the Supreme Lord. So communism means everything belongs to the state. But actually everything doesn't belong to the state, everything belongs to Krishna. And thus, that nothing belongs to any nation or any individual person. Everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. However, Srila Prabhupada had a very different opinion about communism as it was very prominent in the world at that time. He said this communistic movement is very, very dangerous to make big animals. They're already animals, and this movement is making big efforts. Accordingly, he warned, if the world becomes full of communists, then the human civilization will be finished. And he offered the only possible remedy. So, anyway, I'm going to read and then Maharaj explains later. So, this is Srila Prabhupada. The only possible remedy that can counteract the tendency towards communism is the Krishna consciousness movement, which can give even the communists the real idea of communistic society. According to the doctrine of communism, the state should be the proprietor of everything. But the Krishna consciousness movement, expanding the same idea, accepts God as the proprietor of everything. People cannot understand this because they have no sense of God. But the Krishna consciousness movement can help them to understand God and to understand that everything belongs to God. So, the reason why communism is very dangerous, it sounds like a good thing, but the problem is that it's an atheistic philosophy. And that's what communists were very, they were very enthusiastic about wiping out religions in countries. And even today, China is an example of a communistic, atheistic communistic country. So Srila Prabhupada envisaged the countering of communism by a Krishna conscious revolution in the leading countries of the West, including the revival of Varnashram Dharma. If England and America, as well as France and Germany, can understand this philosophy, there will be a great theistic revolution which will counteract the atheistic philosophy of Marxism. The present communistic philosophy must be countered by a revival of the principles of Chatur Varnya. So this is important. We have to establish another society. Chatur Varnya refers to Varnashram, the four Varnas. Chatur means four, Varnya means Varna. So, Maharaj writes, although communism is no longer a major political force that it was when Srila Prabhupada was present, the legacy of Marxism continues to undermine social values, societal values worldwide, especially via the academia of the Western world and in India. Particularly, Marxist theory continues to be a significant influence on feminism, the gay rights movement, and the undermining of traditional religions. Srila Prabhupada was so concerned to rebuke the Marxist theory that he primed a leading disciple in arguments against it with the aim of producing a booklet. Fortunately, the modern communistic theory and also the idea of United Nations can be reformed, indeed rectified, by the understanding that everything belongs to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, there's a lot that goes on. The next section, which is the last in the entire section, this is all these subsections I was reading is from a bigger section called To Save the World from Rogues and Rascals. The last section in that is a protest movement. Yeah, I can read that in another 3 minutes or something, and then comments. A protest movement. Srila Prabhupada saw the Krishna consciousness movement as a protest movement. So in this way, this is Prabhupada, misinterpretation, malinterpretation, and people are gliding down to an abominable condition of this material life. So our Krishna consciousness movement is a protest against all this nonsense. And therefore we sometimes become unpopular, but we don't care for that. Popular or unpopular, we must go on with our business. So devotees are not stating this today.
Yeah.
They're just saying, how can we be popular? Oh, people won't like us. Oh, people won't like us. People won't like us. But who's going to repeat these statements? Srila Prabhupada saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's non-violent civil disobedience movement, as described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, as a precedent to be followed. Nimai had brought a mass Sankirtan procession to the house of the Qazi, Muslim magistrate, to protest the banning of the Sankirtan movement that Nimai had started in Navadvip. Srila Prabhupada commented on this. The Qazi's order not to perform Sankirtan could stand only as long as there was no civil disobedience. Under the leadership of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the chanters, increasing in number, disobeyed the order of the Qazi. Thousands assembled together and formed parties, chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and making a tumultuous sound of protest. Thus the Qazi was very much afraid, as naturally one should be under such circumstances. In the present day also, people all over the world may join the Krishna consciousness movement and protest against the present degraded governments of the world's godless societies, which are all based on all kinds of sinful activities. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam states that in the age of Kali, thieves, rogues, and fourth-class people who have neither education nor culture, capture the seats of governments and exploit the citizens. This is a symptom of Kali Yuga that has already appeared. People cannot feel secure about their lives and property, yet the so-called governments continue, and government ministers get fat salaries, although they are unable to do anything good for the society. The only remedy for such conditions is to enhance the Sankirtan movement under the banner of Krishna consciousness and protest against the sinful activities of all the world's governments. To the devotees in Australia, who were repeatedly being arrested for performing Sankirtan, Srila Prabhupada wrote, now the business of the Sankirtan, the solution is to simply go on with Sankirtan activities that we have been doing and let them arrest them as they like. We will not stop. Just like in London, they became arrested so many times and there was so much public display of arresting that gradually the police stopped arresting, and now they have Sankirtan anywhere and everywhere as they like without any botheration.
Oh my God.
If we take this case to the court and spend so much money for big lawyers and still we do not win, then they have got legal right to stop us.
Oh my God.
You see, Srila Prabhupada is a
amazing.
mastermind.
Yeah.
He said, so better forget this business of lawyers and judges and simply go on with Sankirtan. That is civil disobedience movement. Let them fill their jails with us again and again, but we shall not stop our Sankirtan movement. Also, it may help if you get some public sympathy to publicizing our constant persecution in newspaper journals. Gradually, the city of officials and constabulary will become embarrassed to arrest us further, and gradually we will be allowed to carry on the Sankirtan unhampered.
Genius.
Yeah.
So this is Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, this is the son of a lion Acharya, has to be a lion himself. So, when the police in London refused permission to hold Rath Yatra, Srila Prabhupada ordered that a protest meeting should be done in such a way that the whole world may know that the British government stopped the yearly Rath Yatra ceremony.
Wow.
That is by Kirtan.
I read the letter.
Interestingly, a similar thing happened when, in very recent past, where the Russian government tried to ban the Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah, I was there. It was in 2013.
Yeah, it was very recent. The Russian government, actually, the Russian Orthodox Church, realized that this Bhagavad Gita, this is a very dangerous book, because just by reading, people are becoming devotees.
This Bhagavad Gita as it is, not
Yeah.
the Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad
It's
Gita as it
our
is.
way.
They had a specific problem with Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, and they were concerned that this is, and so they wanted to ban. And what did devotees do?
Publicized it.
Publicized. They protested. And what did they do? They riled up the Indian government. So the Indian government got behind it it's a prestigious issue. Oh, the Russian government is trying to ban. The Indian government protests. Then the Prime Minister writes something. The President writes something. The Indian government threatens they would remove their representatives from Russia, and then devotees did this all around the world, especially in India. They assembled around outside the Russian consulates and did heavy Harinam Sankirtan with huge banners, and newspapers were taking pictures and posting it all over.
Oh my God.
It was a big thing.
That's
And then everyone was, and then all the VHP, Hindu Parishad, they were all pressurizing. You government has to do something about this. You have to tell Russia they cannot insult India like this.
Oh, that's amazing.
And Russia, they were trying to say, no, we're not trying to ban. We want only this particular edition of Bhagavad Gita.
They didn't listen.
And all the hula, everything got merged. It just became one. So devotees did this just recently.
And apparently the sales of Bhagavad Gita in Russia increased.
And it increased,
like
yeah.
anything.
They sold out their whole
This-
stock. Because there was none left. Everyone wanted to gobble it up.
So Srila Prabhupada's strategies work. It works. It works all the time.
Bad mothers and masters increased.
So,
What's up?
and then this is the last quote here. In response to harassment in Germany, Srila Prabhupada sent a missive. I don't know if this is a spelling mistake or this is actually a word called missive.
Missive is a word, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like a document, like telling people
Telling them what to do. It's an order.
something like that.
Command, maybe. The army command, I guess. Missive to all temple presidents. Recently in Germany, the government, police and church have started heavy persecution against our movement by arrest, investigation and blocking our monies in the bank.
Needs official letter.
Okay. By unfair and slanderous newspaper and television propaganda, they have ruined our reputation and turned the general public against our movement. We cannot sit down and be idle. Even killing our devotees has been attempted in Berlin by shooting. Hansadutta Prabhu has formulated a plan for protesting at all German embassies all over the world. This plan has my sanction, and he will be contacting you in this connection. Please cooperate with him fully. Hansadutta.
Apparently, like what happened in that for the Berlin thing was that the devotees just finished Nashinga Arti, and they just were offering obeisance to Nashinga. That's when they shot, and the bullets like went above the devotees.
Wow!
And no one got hurt. Nothing happened.
Amazing! Wow!
And then then the same day they all came out and started doing Harinam, and these guys were shocked.
What is this?
This was in Berlin.
Oh.
During Srila Prabhupada's time. During Srila Prabhupada's time, they went through so much. We go through nothing today.
Communism was still hot in Germany at that time, so there was like a little atheist.
Where's Germany?
I know. So it's amazing. It's just, so yeah, I'll stop here. Any comments? Yeah.
So Prabhupada's saying all these things. Book distribution is like the thing that will kill the society. But, is there something we can do to get people to read the book? Because ultimately that's what they need to do, right? Yeah. And then they need to apply it and start chanting and stuff. And so us as an ashram, I feel like there's these other things that are happening. The Brooklyn Temple in New York is they just got started. They're going to be a while till they do anything. The Bhakti Center is doing their own kind of yoga thing. So if we want to actually do this and apply it, how should we do that? Should we
invite people to your programs? Those who are actually interested will come. Those who otherwise are not interested, we invite them to our programs. That's what my experience. Actually, let me. I want to read this because this is very nice. This is a recent. Sharon, one of the guys we're preaching to right now, who Mahotsaha last week, 2 weeks ago,
This Saturday. What are you talking about? No. The last
distributed a Saptarishi. 2 weeks ago, distributed a Saptarishi stack to him, and he, in a school essay, describes his experience, why he took the Saptarishi. So this is really cool. So he writes, after a tough loss in the Bronx Wrestling Borough Championships in front of my mother, I came across a couple of Vedic monks chanting on my way to my brother's house in Queens on 42nd Street, Grand Central. Apparently he met him in Times Square, but somehow he remembers it as Grand Central. So,
like the same thing.
My curiosity was sparked due to the fact that these people were so comfortable with what? With receiving glances from people who were looking down on them and were completely detached from what was going around them to share knowledge and were very inviting. So that's what impressed him. He saw that so many people were, casting glances on us. Looking, what's weirdos, man? Such a bunch of weirdos every time, just singing. What the hell are they singing? Why are they doing it? A waste of time. Some people come. Why didn't you go to work?
I am at work. Why didn't you at work?
Why didn't you go to work?
I already have a job. I had
get a job.
I had 3 people say that to me yesterday. Get a job. I said, I'm doing my job right now.
I'm seeing the stack. I'm going to be 100.
They say what?
So people are looking at us with highly condescending, attitudes. But now what others would expect is general was, people are looking, so there's a bunch of weirdos, But no, sometimes, especially for sincere people, sincere souls, it intrigues them. Man, how is this possible? That's what intrigued him. And he says, and they were very inviting. So all these condescending people, and what are we doing? We're saying hi to them, we're smiling at them, we're trying to give them a card, give them candies. We're giving them a candy for looking at us as weirdos. We're treating them for their condescending attitude. It just shocks people. And so then he says, so of course, and this is when, after Mahotsa stopped it, I told him about my recently suffered loss. After I told him about my loss, he only said these words, I'm sorry, brother, and proceeded to give me a very comforting hug that was very different from any other. This man that I did not know at all made me feel as if we were both siblings living in a house of chaos. It was a very serendipitous moment for me in a time of distress. That one hug, this is a hug of a Vaishnava, one hug made me realize that our bodies are simply a system of complex mechanisms that are predisposed and vulnerable to an infinite amount of diseases, and our minds are a complex system of constant inner torment. This is all philosophy here. I'm just sorry, brother, and you hug him and he gets all this knowledge. See, this is how Krishna works. This is amazing. This is the potency of the Krishna consciousness movement. And these are miracles that are happening every day. He didn't go sit in the Tibetan mountains in the middle of freezing cold and meditate, and maybe had to sit under what is that tree?
Bodhisattva.
What's that tree? It's a tree. What tree is that?
Banyan tree? No.
Banyan tree? Maybe
Is it people tree?
I don't know what. People tree. People tree. He didn't go and sit under a people tree and then suddenly, boom, there's
Third eye
third eye and there's a shine of light, a ray of light that seems through the... People have all sorts of ideas. Not like that.
The autobiography of a yogi, that's what it says when he got enlightened by his guru. He went there and he had the full vision of the entire three worlds, and he just touched his head and it was like, I see.
Electrified.
Like a shock.
So people are like, Maharaj, please give me mercy, mercy, mercy. Maharaj, what is mercy? You touch it and then,
Oh yeah.
I got mercy. I got more. It's okay, at some level that some emotions and feelings are good, but then you feel like that, and then you go and you go watch TV, you go watch your next cricket match. Then it's not very nice. Not so much electrification that happened. Whereas this person, see, what? Just one hug. When he's describing this hug, I found it so amazing. And then he writes, he says, I've learned that if each and every one of us are aware of this, then we'll all be aware of the fact that it isn't our nationality, creed, or race that makes us who we are, but it is our souls that makes us all children born into a chaotic world, and the simple understanding is what will lead to the calamity of the world to be expunged. And he's saying that realizing that we are souls, we will rid the world.
18. College?
18 years. High school kid.
He's good.
His English is good also.
Yeah.
I know. I was just astonished. And that's how he describes it, but just one hug. This is not about the books that he has read. So
keep reading.
That's the end of the essay that he wrote for this short essay. And I was reading the books, and he's underlining, and he's underlining, and he's preaching about what he's learned to his friends, and his friends are like, wow, man, this is so amazing stuff, and he's planning to bring more people to this Sunday program.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is just an example. Okay, we're distributing these books, but again, it's the devotee sincerity, and it touches people's lives, and then it makes them want to read these books, because as Mahotsa has found a very nice quote from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, only by building ideal lives and a mansion of books can the message of Bhagavad Gita remain in this.
He made a mistake.
Was it
Bhagavad Bhakti.
Bhagavad Bhakti. I thought
Bhagavad Bhakti permanently remain in this sphere.
Bhagavad Bhakti permanently remain in this sphere. Building ideal lives and a mansion of books.
Mansion, bro.
So it has to be
something.
Yeah.
Mansion of books.
Mansion of books.
Let's just make this the next house. We'll just make it buying the books of the BBC.
So that's very significant. That we can make people read books just by our character also. It's by people get attracted. So by sincerely serving Krishna and Prabhupada, this will all happen. And even those envious people, somehow if they get a book, later them or someone else. My father got a book, he never read it, he hasn't read it, he will never read it. But I did. So.
My brother got a book the same year I did. Really? My twin brother.
So anyway, somehow or the other they'll be
If you get the original.
Vaisheshika Prabhu writes a lot about this in his book. He explains how the profuse distribution of literature will eventually interest people in mass, and that's how communism spread.
That's true.
Like if we just
Communism
keep giving
is
these
better.
subjects out, eventually they don't
Bro,
they just have like
bro.
their library just like
Bro.
7 books in there. It's like,
No.
what are all these books? Why every house has books about these?
Mahatattva, bro. Alright? Mahatattva.
Any other comments? Since yes, please.
I remember you and me were in a seminar in a place not so far from here, in a state not so far from here, and then there was like this couple, and they were like speaking about how we can introduce all these modern things into the society. So then like, is there any questions or comments? And they said, austerity of speech, we should always speak words that are pleasing and never disturb anyone, and like, you can imagine, right? Along those lines. So then I raised my hand, I said, what? So when we read the Bhagavatam, Nunam Pramatam Krute Vikarma, the whole society is mad and crazy. Should we say that to people? They said, well, we must not imitate. I said, well, that's not imitation. Prabhupada asked us to speak strongly, so should we not speak strongly? He said, no, if we do that, it's like imitating Srila Prabhupada. And we won't be so popular among other people. I said, are we trying to win a popularity contest? And then they just cut me off, bro. This was, when was this?
This was last summer somewhere. Not summer, maybe springtime.
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita class.
Not about, it was a seminar about how to have an ideal relationship with some stuff.
Yeah,
You went to that?
I didn't go to that. He went for something else and I happened to be there.
we both went for something else.
Yeah.
Sure you did.
It's like,
We just happened to be there at the seminar.
Happened to be at the seminar.
So yeah, so people are talking so much about people. So then devotees are all filled with this idea. How should I impress the other person? That's the materialistic mentality. Everyone is thinking like this and so miserable in life. Oh, what hairstyle should I have? What color nails should I paint? And what jeans I should wear and all this, and they're miserable. Which team should I support now? Miserable. And if we also get in the same mentality, we'll be miserable also. In the name of being devotees. You chant Hare Krishna, and instead of being happy, you chant Hare Krishna and be miserable. Anything else?
So to put it short, what's our objective?
Objective?
Objective means thing that you...
What's the mission statement?
No, that's different. The objective is what you like practically want to accomplish like this day or the next day.
Make the whole world Krishna
Make the whole world Krishna conscious ASAP.
Nothing short of that.
No, but like so there's like the war, you want to win the war, but each day there's like an objective that you want to do.
Bro, what's the objective of today, bro? Chanting Hare Krishna on the
Write it
streets
down.
and distributing Srila Prabhupada's books, bro.
Distribute Bhagavatam set.
As
Today-
enthusiastically as possible and distribute as many of Srila Prabhupada's books as
Hi,
possible.
bro. Sorry.
If you guys are going to do a Bhagavatam set?
That's the plan.
Alright.
Bhagavatam set.
Okay.
Bro, start with one.
Parivadatu jano yatha tatha nanumukharo navayam vicharayamaha Hari rasa madira madadi matta bhuvi viluthama
Nirvishama. Natama Nirvishama.
Lutama natama nirvishamaha Dante nidayatrinakam vadayor nipatya kritva chakakushatameta daham ravimi he sadhava sakalameva vihaya dhura chaitanya chandra charane kurutan
What's the translation?
Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyascha
Hare
Visnu-citta Prabhu ki
Shri Chaitanya Prabhu ki
Jai.